Kitiibwa kya Buganda kya
This is my story. This is my song. Praising my Savior all that day long. May God bless you as you learn from this story. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Can our Archbishop have another sturdy round of applause, please? Ladies and gentlemen, you may now take your seats. Thank you so much for coming. Please look the person next to you and say, "Webala nnyo okujja. Webala nnyo okutwagala. Webala nnyo okubeerawo. Webala nnyo okuwagira Nnabagereka. Ekitabo kyaffe mukirabye?" Okay, thank you very much. My name is Council Jane Kasumba. I'm the mistress of ceremonies for this event. It is Nnabagereka's book launch. I think you can see it to my right-hand side, in the center and behind. It's a hard book copy. It's about life, passion, and duty. The Nnabagerekas, Queen Sylvia Najinda Luswata, an autobiography. I think I shall read a foreword from her book. And remarkable. Our kingdom of Uganda radiated a sense of happiness, joy, and pride that no money or opulence could surely buy. It was a kingdom inspired by the people's kingdom, their minds, hopes, beliefs, and their culture. By the 1990s, most African monarchies had crumbled, yet the Buganda kingdom, despite its troubles, was on the rise. We had to reinvent ourselves as a monarchy in order to remain relevant, a vehicle for development of our people. So, I had two distinct choices as the Nnabagereka. Number one, maintain the status quo, as it were, be the traditional wife and stay safe, or play an active role in shaping our community and our beloved nation. This is my story because I chose to do both. And that's what this story, and that's what this is about. You know, I spent the whole of the last 2 days reading this book. Intriguing, every single page. You know, I'm the one who, when you give me a book, I don't just look at pictures. I really try to read the book. Really try to read the book and understand. And my favorite phrase came from page 191, paragraph 3. As the Nnabagereka of Uganda, I enjoyed many opportunities, but I also faced countless challenges. The title Nnabagereka is derived from the Luganda word okugereka, which literally means to prepare and to apportion, but loosely means to serve people. Henceforth, my dreams and aspirations of wanting to work with and to serve the people were met. This was a major bridge in my life. You know, you have one life to lead. And when an opportunity presents itself, you have a choice whether to take it or not to take it. When the Nnabagereka was 36 years of age, she was propositioned by none other than the Kabaka of Buganda. She had a choice to whether to say yes or no. She said yes, and her life changed forever. And not just her life, but her life for her family and everybody around changed forever. That's enough for me. You know, I like talking. I can talk from now till tomorrow, but let me stop there. At this juncture, I would like to call upon some words by a gentleman who is behind this book, the writer and publisher, and a gentleman many of you will have known as a famed Ugandan pop star. He's called Dr. Dennis Sempebwa. This is his story. This is what it meant to him to come up, to publish, and to write this book.
really, sensational. And but we want to get to America. Friend of ours says, I've got this charming reporter from New York who wants to interview you. And we're like, okay, cool. And so she comes online and she says, hey, my name is Sylvia Luswata from New York. And we do the interview, and I'm thinking, okay, cool. Next thing I know, this charming reporter is now the queen. She's the Nnabagereka of Uganda. What? Yep. Fast forward 2017. A friend of mine says, the Nnabagereka would like to write her story, and will you help her? I said, yes, I'd love to. Our company would love to work with her. So we began to sit down and unpack this story, and tons and tons of conversations, long hours, lots of chai with ginger tea, mandazi, sumbusa, chapati, as we unpack this amazing, riveting story. Of course, many of us know her as the simple girl who gets married to the Kabaka and becomes a queen of one of Africa's great civilizations, the Baganda. Our kingdom, this kingdom, is really a great civilization, 800-year civilization. So, but her story is far more exciting, more riveting. First it begins in London, unwed mother, desperate unwed mother, and she has a baby in a London hospital, and there, baby's in a crib, and this dove, a white dove, it comes and lands on the crib, and it just sits there. The nurses, mama tries to shush it away. The nurses come and it just chilling. The white dove chilling. But after a while, it just gently and flutters away. And whoa, prophetic, right? Well, it would almost prove to be some sort of prophetic sign for what would come, that somebody special was there. This is amazing. So it begins this amazing story. A mother cannot keep the baby. Circumstances won't let her keep the baby. So grandpa says, hey, send her here. Let's raise her. Let your mother and I raise her. So she sends the baby back here to Uganda. And of course, I don't want to give too much away of this story, but Sylvia is raised like normal, simple. Her childhood friends, almost all of them, say this almost verbatim. She always made us feel like we were special. She always, but we all knew there's something special about her. She's different. She's different. She made you feel different, but you knew she was different. Juicy romance, which I'm sure you'll enjoy, with the Kabaka, and fairy tale wedding follows that historic wedding, over 1 million people. Wedding actually made CNN and some of the global publications. So she's queen, yay! Story ends there? Nope, not really. This queen, as she's basking in the warmth of this indescribable honor of being the Nnabagereka, reality begins to set in. She's thinking, okay, I think my life as an ordinary girl is over. I can't see my friends. I don't know where my passport is. I've got handlers and security, and I'm got no privacy. I just can't go take a walk. She's a very, very private person. So no, you can't be private. Everybody wants to know everything about you. That's her lot. And then the Baganda, her amazing, the Baganda, they have a super high expectations. They fully expect her to act like royalty all the time. She must do and say the right things 100% of the time. So, I mean, literally no room for mistakes. That's it. So, wait, she's thinking, but no one. Man, she feels like life's just blindsided her. No one told me, she thinks, because remember, there's not been a Nnabagereka for a long time. So there's no books or manuals on how to be in Nnabagereka. Nobody to teach her. So she feels like, wait, how do I do this? So when she begins to ask around, she's told this verbatim: you are the wife of the Kabaka. You exist. Your existence here is to support him, to go to functions with him, to bear his children, to be his wife. Period. Can you do that? She tells me, she thinks, of course I can. Not a bad gig. I can handle that. But being Sylvia, the curious Sylvia, she's thinking, but can I do more? Is that it? I don't mind the role, but can I be more? And almost immediately she has this distinct two choices: to maintain the status quo, be this nice, good, traditional wife, which she could perfectly do and stay safe, or play this active role, because she's looking at the needs around her. Can I play an active role in shaping my community and doing more and helping these marginalized communities? Can I help my beloved nation as well? Do I have to choose one? And she chose to do both. Powerful story. Of course, it's engaged tons of people on 3 continents. It's taken over 5 years to bring this together to life, and I do pray you enjoy it. It's a must read for the romantic, of course, for the curious, girls, boys, the hopeless, for politicians, rulers, presidents. It is a beautiful story. It unpacks her tireless efforts to support and improve the lives of marginalized and underdeveloped communities in Uganda, creating this powerful movement. It's a movement that has championed and continues to champion the uplift of our people and countless others across Africa. So I pray, happy reading, Godspeed, goodbye.
Hello. Growing up, we would always sit with our elders and they would tell us stories of wonder, courage, and these stories would inspire us. These stories were said from generation to generation. Right now, I believe that these stories, we've lost some of these stories. We've lost these stories because of memory, because of interpretation. Stories these days are told in books. Stories are told on the internet. Stories are told in very many formats. It is therefore important, and I believe is special, that Nnabagereka Najinda has chosen to put her story in a book that is going to do the same thing as it did in the past, where it will inspire us. So I therefore believe that what Mama Nnabagereka is doing today is special. Nowadays, I think it's important that in order for our history, our stories to be told, they need to be told in this era. And in this era, it could be books, so that once again, it can inspire, it can encourage all of us, and also peek into her life and understanding, and therefore grow this country. One of the things that I've found about Nnabagereka Najin, of the years that I've known her, is she embodies both those lives. She embodies two lives, where she understands and has a clear understanding about the past and the importance of the past, but is also clear about our future and where it needs to be. And with that in mind, I believe is why she has put her thoughts in a book for all of us to read, enjoy, understand her, but also inspire and challenge us. Thank you.
It's 1992.
Can you please give them a nice round of applause, sir? For those of you who've not had the opportunity to see this book, this is what it looks like. It's a very nice looking book. Yeah, it's really nice. Hard copied. Yeah, that means you can, whenever you're traveling or you're somewhere, it's durable. Huh? And then better still, when you open the cover, it is hard copy of the same. Very nice. And you know, what also endeared me to this book was the fact that the lettering in the book, yeah, is one which doesn't make you fatigued. You know, you can have these books that have maybe 1,000 pages and the words are so small. So when you're not reading, yeah, it's very difficult. Huh? But this is a pleasure to read. You can finish this book in a matter of a day, yeah, in a matter of a day. And what I like most about it is that it has also excerpts from other people talking. Yeah? So it has what her friends are saying, what the Nnabagereka's family is saying, what the royals are saying. It's all included in this book. It's a very interesting read. So at this juncture, we are going to go straight to our review panel. Today we have a very interesting review panel of three very special guests that I will call up shortly. When they come up, kindly give them a round of applause. They will walk up onto the stage and get seated. Their job is they're going to tell us what their thoughts of the book are. So first and foremost, let me first call up our first panelist. Our first panelist is Mr. Robert Kabushenga. Mr. Robert Kabushenga describes himself. Can you have a better round of applause? You all know this gentleman. Mr. Robert Kabushenga describes himself as an obsessive farmer and administrator. Yeah, that's what he says. These are not my words. Of Rugeyo Farm. Rugeyo Farm, that is it. And he's a curator and a host for 360. That's what he says. But Mr. Robert Kabushenga is much more than that. He's a lawyer. He's a seasoned CEO. He's a gentleman who is a renowned critique in the East African region, and he's a gentleman At this juncture, I'd also like to call upon Miss Jackie Asimwe. As Miss Jackie Asimwe is coming up, can she have another round of applause, please? Mrs. Jackie Asimwe is a lady of many feats, a lawyer. Many of course, would have known her as what she really did not want to be referred to as a great pastor's child. Her father, Uncle Ben, has fathered many over the years. She is a Uganda human rights lawyer and a philanthropy advisor. She comes with a lot of experience. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our panelists. They're going to review this book, The Nnabagereka, Queen Sylvia Najinda Luswata, an autobiography which showcases life, passion, and duty. That is Dr. Maria Nassali, Mr. Robert Kabshenga, and Mrs. Jackie Asimwe. Thank you. First and foremost, since there are two men and one gentleman, let us be courteous. We shall go first with the gentleman. Robert Kabshenga, yeah?
I think this is a trap.
It is not a trap.
Being set up.
Most importantly, I want to know from you,
Yes.
what is it that you liked about this book?
So I made the classic mistake of every reader. I went into this book with a number of assumptions. Now, let's first dispose of one issue. Mama, as I know her, very measured person who doesn't exaggerate things. The one thing that stood out for me was the praise she gave to one person. And I'm saying this purely on a lighter note. She describes OHT Wakabuza Mukasa as a brilliant mind. And for one moment I thought, really? This must be the only exaggeration in the book. But but Kabuza is my friend, so I know he can take it. The classic mistake I made was to go into the book with a number of assumptions. And the first thing that shocked me when I got into the book was the structure. I looked at it. It had a letter from her mother. Then she wrote her own foreword. And I was like, then it starts off in a hospital. I'm like, something is wrong here. So I closed the book. Said, I'm not continuing with it. So what I'll say to you is that this book will surprise you. So there's everything for everyone. So for the lazy guys, you go straight to the back. The pictures are there. You can look at them. And you can go around boasting that you read the book. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. So there's something in it for everybody. For those who find reading difficult, the language is absolutely accessible. It's written very simply and in short sentences. So please do not fear that because it's a hard copy and because it's Nnabagereka, it will be difficult to read. It's very accessible. And for the impatient, start at the end where the principles of her life are contained, or you can go straight to her work if that's all you're interested in. And for the mystery of who Najinda is, you can go to the beginning. But the more disciplined reader, I suggest that you read the whole book and finish it. So there is everybody is catered for. So, but the other thing that I found very surprising was that I thought I knew the Nnabagereka. And that's the mistake that we all make with public figures, is we think we know them. Actually, I didn't know her. And the story of adversity is what I found really, really humbling. And it humanizes her in a manner that you least expect. And it's at every level, whether it's the family level and having to deal with very difficult emotions, or the context of the 70s and 80s as we knew them. There is one story there. And today I look at you, Your Highness, and if I had a chance to have a long conversation with you, it's what I would like to know. So this young lady flies out of Uganda for the first time. Remember, well, no, you don't remember because you don't know, you haven't read the book. So in hospital at the beginning, when she's born, that's where her adversity begins. There's all these things, nerves and so on, and then her mom wakes up in the night and her baby is missing. Guess what? She's fallen under the bed. That's where they found her. Then, unlike many of you, the age of a few months, she flew alone from the UK back to Uganda. So the next time she flies out, she gets stranded in Brussels, and all she has to her name is $20, and she's looking for a hotel in Brussels, and sent an angel who rescues her. I won't tell you the rest of the story. You go and find it and read it. But the thing that we need to know out of this that shocked me is that somebody that we see, somebody that we're tempted to think has lived a life of privilege, has actually gone through adversity. And the final point I would like to say about that, which shocked me, is I would never have guessed that she went to school in Wanyange. And two things happened there. One, she managed to get herself kicked out of the school. That's not the point. It's how she tries to resolve the issue that really makes her an ordinary human being. You will find that in the book. But there is also something else that she picks interest in Wanyange. Guns. Go and buy the book and read it.
Mr. Kapshenga, we'll be coming back to you shortly, but let me go directly to Dr. Maria Nasali. I want to read an excerpt from the book. It comes from page 223. It is by Elizabeth Luanga, Governance Board member of the Nnabagereka Development Foundation. She says, in establishing the foundation, Queen Sylvia was redefining the role of the Nnabagereka. She moved it from its traditional limited space into the public sphere of a working queen. She has made the title more relevant and has enhanced its meaning and outlook. She's a leader and champion for promoting indigenous African culture and its role in development. In line with her beliefs and humility, she demonstrates a leadership style in this book. It clearly shows a Nnabagereka who is transformative and has great transformative potential. Can you talk about that, please?
Thank you, Mama Nnabagereka. It is an honor to have read your book. I read it fast. I received it around 6 and by the morning, I had finished it. I read it again. And one of the things is that you cannot give who you're not. So the one thing that struck me was the roller coaster of emotions that I went through. I was very shocked at you and very amazed at you and very affirmed of your strength to be you and very overwhelmed by your love and gratitude for life. You begin the book. A simple girl had fallen in love with a king and become his wife. You chose to do both, a traditional wife and a working queen. And you did not have a script to read from. You had to toggle along. But I reckon that is your love and gratitude that enabled you to persevere through the thicks and thin, and through the glory of being the Nnabagereka. In your 6-page acknowledgement, you mentioned the word love 7 times. Thank you and gratitude 11 times. For me, it is really a story of true love and gratitude to life. We live in a very paralyzed life. People define roles for you, or you define roles for yourself. We live in a world that is black and white. You chose the gray, and you navigated it with a lot of strength, and you charted new ways for us to celebrate life. One of the things that actually fascinated me throughout the book is the anecdotes which abound about your continuous reverence for and gratitude to the Kabaka for affording you the platform to make a positive difference in ordinary people's lives. And in so doing, also very passionate that you got married into an institution which is 600 years plus. But you managed in your own way to make it relevant in your own way in the 21st century. As it is the role of you being a traditional wife and a working queen, which you chose for yourself. You answered the nudging questions of us ordinary beings. Who is the Nnabagereka? Is she a real person? Is her life a fairy tale? Let me disappoint you. It is better than a fairy tale because it has a bit of adventure. There is that Tom Sawyerish kind of adventure, the one you say right is right, wrong is wrong. Or I do not wish any reward, but to know that I have done the right thing. So I think for me, it is the navigating of both. As an academia, you have shattered our thinking. In terms of, we've been grappling, and we teach, I teach gender and the law now, so we're grappling to say, you know what, these are stereotypes, but the Nnabagereka seeks to reassure us that she is one of us, a fellow human being, and in her own words, she lives in the same complicated, painful, and unpredictable world that, in her own words. Let me jump a little bit, one last sentence, to the 16-year-old Sylvia. She writes, have a story, live it, make a difference. And once you open this book, you will not put it down because Mama Nnabagereka connects with you.
A special thank you to Dr. Maria Nassali. Let me come in here and really get the thoughts from Ms. Jackie Asimwe. I think, Jackie, when you're reading through the book, I think what is so ingenious is that every single chapter, has a special narrative of its own. It goes from Okwezula, that is self-discovery, Then it goes to Emisinji, which are foundations. Then it goes to Ebyengiriza, the education. No. I'm telling you, I spent the whole day reading this book. Munsonyiweko. Then it goes to Siterede, unsettled. Then it goes to Okudawaka, homecoming. So every single chapter in its own has a narrative. Your thoughts on that?
So my celebration of the Nnabagereka is the fact that she puts out her story. And when I thought of my as a primary school girl, learning the history of our country and never being told really stories of women in our country. I celebrate that she tells her story and that we need more and more her stories in our history. So I celebrate that. And I hope that this opens a door, and it's amazing that you're sitting beside two stories of Honorable Rhoda Kalema and Honorable Joyce Mpanga, and many others. But we need them because our stories, our lives are not complete. Miriam Matembe has written several, are not complete until we listen to both stories. So thank you for opening that door. The other thing for me is the beautiful weaving of culture. And she does point out, in fact, that she knows that the women's rights movement, of which I belong, has struggled with contending with culture and modernity. And not only as the women's movement, I think when you're colonized and who you are is taken away from you and an identity superimposed over you, you lose your roots. And so in her work to elevate and name our culture, as she does in her book, to pick out proverbs and use them through the telling of her story, is to proudly name and reclaim our Africanness. That, for me, is powerful. And it is only these days now that I've begun to appreciate why that is truly important in a globalized world where blackness, Africanness is disappeared, is relegated, is trampled upon, is literally rendered nothing. She says, no, it is something, and we are proud about it. The thing, even in her telling of her story, that struck me and was what she said about the expectation of perfection. If you're a woman here, raise your hand. We know and we can resonate with the expectation of perfection. It follows us all our lives, but especially so for certain women in the public eye. And I like that she calls it out. I like that she names it, because then we too can name it and interrogate it. Why the expectation of perfection? What does it do to our mental psyche as people who have to be perfect, well knowing we are not? And why do we continue to expect perfection when what we need is grace? Because we are human. We are human. I resonate with it because as a PK, a preacher's kid, I knew what it was to be held on a pedestal that you didn't even ask for. I didn't ask to be a preacher's kid, but you are, perfection is you and you are perfection, and it is a, so I'm glad. And that's how honest her telling of her story is. She just bears herself and says, this is who I am, an imperfect person in an imperfect world, but trying to do my best. And it's okay not to be perfect. And lastly, because I'm a preacher's kid, I felt all of us, step out. Hey, please lift your leg and step out. That's what she does. Because many of us have the choice to sit back. She steps out. It takes courage. It takes wisdom. It takes fortitude. It takes facing your fears. It takes facing the institution in which you're in. Let's give her a big applause.
As we wrap up this session, Dr. Nasali, if I can go to you, you have so many students that you teach, that you inspire in the School of Law. We want to know, what would you want your students to take away from a book like this?
I think, yeah. It is a very important story for anybody who wants to discover themselves, accept themselves with all the perfect imperfections, but also be more willing to make the world more accommodating and pleasant. And once we do that, I think even we'll make the law more as a better tool for social justice, because it's not the spirit, it's not the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law in how you interpret it so that you make the world a better place, more pleasant, more accommodative, and just try.
Thank you. And Robert, I know that you do mentor very many young people. You did post the book on your Twitter page. What were their thoughts and what would you want them to take away from this book? Uganda being made up of maybe 70% young people, 70% of those are under the age of 15. We're a very young country. What would you want those mentees to take away from a book like this?
Well, the simple answer to that is let them go and buy the book and read it, because that's absolutely important for them to do that. But I just want to conclude by saying that this book speaks to any man in here and outside who is a father of a daughter. It is an incredible window into the mind of your daughter, challenges that your daughter goes through quietly without you ever knowing, the dangerous presumptions we make as fathers without caring or thinking what your daughter might be battling with. And so, for me, I think the greatest contribution of this book is to the men of this country. Go and read it and understand your daughter. It's not too late, even if your daughter is 50. You might get a lesson to reconnect with your daughter. I am speaking as a guy who has only one daughter, and the thing that keeps me awake every night is if that relationship is ever fractured. I will not be able to live with myself much longer. So I'll just say that for me, and I am eternally grateful, because my copy, which I have bookmarked and made notes in it, you have autographed it to my daughter. I am going to send it to her because we've been having a lot of discussions about Africanness and what it means. Now I have a template. I am going to tell her, now don't waste my time. Here is how to be an African woman. The rest you're going to learn from your mother. Leave me alone. Thank you.
And Jackie, finally to you, I will just read in the acknowledgements what the Nnabagereka writes in the book. She says, I would like to thank His Majesty Kabaka Ronald Mutebi for his invaluable support. When he chose me to be his wife, I became the Nnabagereka of Buganda Kingdom, a position that has given me a wide platform and latitude to contribute to the development of our country through support to children, youth, and women in Uganda. And I know in so many young women, so many ladies, when they were writing maybe 20 years ago what they wanted to be, I want to marry a king or I want to marry a president. That was up there. Let's talk about love. But most importantly, with the way life is changing, yeah, there can only be one Nnabagereka, there can only be one first lady. Is it possible for a lady to be a Nnabagereka in her own home? Is it possible to be a first lady in her own home? Is it possible for you to be queen in her own home? Have women forgotten that you don't just have to be queen in the office, you can be queen at home as well? And does this book bring that out?
It does, and speaking as Queen Jackie, for example. Anyhow, of course we can be, of course. And again, it's a credit to the Nnabagereka that in her book she says it is possible. Is it easy? No, but it is possible. But I think her story also says there is enough grace if you don't always get it right. Because I don't want us to then jump and judge when people don't, when women don't, when men don't. So read it with both. She in the book, she's described not as a very good singer, but she can bust a move. And for me, that tells me that that's what we're all doing all the time, right? This delicate dance. It's a delicate dance. And when you read the book, you will see why. And why all our lives, it is a delicate dance. And it's okay to be queen at home and queen of the world.
Yes, Doctor?
I think I want to emphasize that because we all, including me, put the Nnabagereka on a pedestal and expected her to be superwoman and superhuman. But in her book, she does not hide her indiscretions and regrets from the reader, but she further reflects on it as her lessons learned. So it is okay to err, and as human beings we make mistakes, but then we learn from them.
Thank you very much. Can our panelists please have a round of applause? Dr. Maria Nasali, thank you. Mr. Robert Kabushenga, thank you. And Ms. Jackie Asimwe, thank you.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy.
I want to thank Vine Entertainment Group for, of course, being behind, they're the organizing team behind this event. Before they relay the videos of friends and children, let me read some of the thoughts and congratulations from other personalities that are mentioned in this book. The first one comes from His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the Republic of Uganda, and he says, I thank the Nnabagereka for exhibiting remarkable devotion to culture and focusing on uplifting the standard of living of our people. She's an inspiration to the young generation and has demonstrated to the world that gender discrimination is no longer fashionable. Her resourcefulness and competence are a great asset to the nation. The First Lady, Janet K. Museveni of the Republic of Uganda, states, I salute Her Royal Highness Nnabagereka for her persistent effort to instill good morals and proper cultural norms and behavior in our young people, even beyond the borders of Uganda. I'd also like to make a special mention of Princess Royal Elizabeth Bagaya of the Kingdom of Toro, who's here with us today. The Nnabagereka is a very good friend of Toro Kingdom. Our families share long histories. I believe that her era has just begun. She has tremendous responsibilities. I pray that God stays with her and continues to show her the way. I also want to state that there's also a message from Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje of the Mufti of Uganda, Republic of Uganda. It is gratifying and encouraging to see that she is in the battlefield fighting to overcome underdevelopment. And it goes on and on and on. So many people talking about the Nnabagereka's work. And we also want to thank the Kabaka of Buganda for having given the Nnabagereka this opportunity to serve Buganda in this way. At this juncture, I would like to call upon the videos, please.
Mama Nnabagereka, abalangira n'abambejja, Katikkiro w'e Buganda, n'abantu abalala bonna mu bitibwa byabwe. I would like to start by congratulating and thanking Mama Nnabagereka for writing a captivating, enjoyable, informative, inspirational autobiography. I enjoyed the book. I couldn't put it down. The book speaks to each reader in their own way, and I'll highlight my favorite parts. The book is in 3 parts: Okwezula, self-discovery; Okwezimba, self-empowerment; Okugereka n'obuweereza, service. Some of my favorite parts are in Okwezula section of the book, and that is because, being of the same generation and around the same age, we walk the same journey as regards growing up in the Uganda setting and situation of the time, under which the Idi Amin dictatorship and instability that continued after that meant growing up fast. But as the book showed, we still managed to have an idyllic childhood thanks to family and culture, a culture that looks out for others, that shows empathy. In the book, I learned for the first time that her grandfather was also one of the people whose property was targeted after Idi Amin's coup in 1971, and more about the frightening situation that she and her schoolmates went through during the Liberation War in 1979. And I thought to myself, very few of our generation have actually documented our take on those days, yet we all have stories. And yet also the importance of cataloging and knowing our history so that the same mistakes are not made by ourselves and future generations is well known. Mama Nnabagereka, I thank you for paving the way, and I look forward to reading many more stories by our generation. The close family friendship between the Kalemas and the Sebugwawos meant that we visited Nkumba often, and so I was also privy to the upbringing that she had in her grandparents' home. The Sebugwawo home was very different from most of the homes of people I knew. The farmhouse, which was built in the 1900s, was sturdy, built to last forever, and had a unique, charming architecture. It sat on a huge farm with many different animals and crops. Here we roamed all day, a kid's paradise. The family setup was also different. Two mamas, Mama Wokulubudo and Mama Wenkumba. More importantly, it was a home full of love and steeped in Uganda culture. The welcome was warm always. Luganda was the only language spoken. Over 50 people got fed on a typical Sunday lunch. All the children sat on mats in and around the dining room. We had to greet properly and say goodbye properly. Mama Nnabagereka's upbringing was a traditional Uganda upbringing in a modernizing world. And key to creating the home environment and nurturing was her grandmother, who our family called Mama Kasalina. And in the Nnabagereka's own words from the book, I could never forget the lesson. She taught me etiquette and manners, the importance of discretion, the value of character and integrity, the art of cooking, the usefulness of service to others, respect for elders and older siblings and aunties, and so much more. Mama taught me how to carry myself as a young lady. I've always believed that though her grandmother nurtured her, in terms of grooming, it was always effortlessly being put together. The Nnabagereka inherited this trait from her grandmother. So Nkumba, steeped in Uganda culture, provided the foundation, love of culture, knowledge of the Uganda culture, norms, language, proverbs, folk tales, and grooming, those set qualities that we see in Mama Nnabagereka and that have made her so specially suited to the role. And that leads me to my second favorite part of the book, Okugereka no Kuwereza, service. Added to these attributes, the Nnabagereka has always been a thinker, and that enabled her to chart an active role for the Nnabagereka and doing something that she's been interested in since her university days, becoming a change agent in her country. The thinker in her helped her marry the use of the Uganda culture and norms, which have stood Uganda the test of time and equipped Uganda people with critical skills with promoting people development by creating programs and supporting causes that help people navigate the influences and complexities of the current world. With all the modern influences, our children need grounding. So thousands of parents have taken their children through the Chisakate training to get the grounding that we took for granted, but which due to modern, faster way of living, or because of living abroad, have limited time to give to their children. And as a way to deepen their love and appreciation for their rich culture and heritage. Many of the values of Uganda are common in other cultures as well, and so the Chisakate has a universal appeal for people who believe in their children getting an African value system. Our flagship NGO, the Nnabagereka Development Foundation, has supported development causes for women, the girl child, the boy child, youth in Uganda and Uganda as a whole. The book ends with lessons learned, her deepening faith in God, and with the leader she is, encouraging us to join her in her journey to promote a better tomorrow for ourselves and for future generations. Mama Nnabagereka, your book has given us the inspiration to do just that. Thank you.
Chapter 6, page 112. You have no business here. We had been given an assignment in my editing class to work on a story that talked about the Purple Heart, a prestigious medal awarded to war heroes. Everyone else knew what that was, except me. When one of my professors saw my work, he spoke piercing words that really stuck to me. Sylvia, you're from Uganda, right? You don't even know what the Purple Heart is. How do you expect to make it here in journalism? Look, you need to know about America. That is going to be your primary audience. You Africans, you do things very differently. Listen to your accent. You even speak differently. I suggest you consider another major. You really have no business in journalism. I don't think he was being mean or racist. He simply spoke from his narrow experience, notwithstanding his criticism reinforced a negative voice that I had been fighting. I had this vivid memory of me reading the news to my parental great-grandma Jaja Sarah. I'd mimic Eva Impanju, Uganda's then top female news anchor, in my version of the evening news. Prior to my enrollment at NYU, I had taken voice classes at a local radio station, despite my mom's objections. The instructors were dismissive of my prospect in the news business because of my different or thick accent. They said people would not understand me because I didn't sound American. The only reason they didn't kick me out is because I was paying them. Right after that experience, I did something completely different. I decided to look for a job reading news at a local radio station, NBS Radio. I was eager to prove my professors wrong. They hired me. I'd get up early in the morning to read the 6 o'clock news. Even then, I was consciously criticized for not pronouncing the words correctly, besides my accent. I studied English-style English, which is not always the same as American English. That was before major broadcasters like CNN recruited reporters with different accents. Shortly thereafter, I heard about an English-based gospel music group from Uganda Limit X. When I heard their music, I was blown away. Can Ugandans really sing like this? I wondered. They sounded like Boys 11 Men, the top R and B group, and the Time. They blow away any other African group that I had heard in America or anywhere else. I had to find them and interview them for our station. I thought my audience would love it. I spoke to my program director, who immediately agreed. I was excited. We called Limit X and aired their story on our show. This is when I met Dennis, the group leader. At the time, little did we both know that 27 years later, he would help me write and publish this book, Small Ecosphere, right? Gradually, I started to concede. Maybe they were right. Maybe my accent was getting in the way of hitting the pinnacle of achievement in this industry. Maybe it was time to shift to something else. I decided to make a shift into public relations.
Ssaabasajja Kabaka, Mama Nnabagereka.
A round of applause, please. That comes from family and those close to the Nnabagereka. We shall be having more videos as we go along. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon the MTN CEO, who is here with us, Ms. Sylvia Mulinge. You'll have a few words to say of how MTN is supporting this event and how they will contribute to ensuring that more Ugandans are able to have this book accessible.
From the moment that I wake till I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Mama Nnabagereka, Nze Sylvia Mulinge, and I glow in the fact that we are namesake. But even just now, I just realized that I also glow in the fact, Father, that my daughter is called Jasmine Mulinge, and she's 13 years old. Mbala musizanyo mwena. For those of you who probably don't know me, my name is Sylvia Mulinge. I'm an East African who has the privilege and the honor to live in Uganda and lead MTN group, MTN's Uganda. And it really is a privilege for us to be here this afternoon, early evening, to really come and congratulate you, Your Royal Highness, for a trailblazing life that has led up to this beautiful story. We come here today to celebrate an ordinary woman who has embraced a strong traditional institution and made it part of her life. And you have done it so effortlessly with such grace and dignity. A woman who has given definition to what many of us women would like to be. We celebrate your courage and your boldness, and thank you for sharing your story. The other day, as we were celebrating our International Women's Day, there's something one of our ladies, Catherine, she's actually in the audience, said. She said that we become what we see. And your story is an encouragement to all the women, and even especially the young girls who are all looking up to know what it is and the possibilities that exist. And for that, we celebrate you for sharing a human story that is compelling, that is authentic, that is vulnerable, and that does not hold back. We admire your courage, your wisdom, and modesty for not only serving the people of Uganda, but also for being an inspirational leader for fellow African women leaders and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, at MTN, we drive the agenda of inclusion and diversity in everything that we do. And that is the reason why, when the foundation approached us and asked us to be a part of this story and this narrative, we were quick to take it up because we celebrate every agenda and every opportunity that drives the inclusion and the diversity of women forward. But it is perhaps, even as we make those efforts, it's perhaps efforts like yours that increasingly inspire nation and inspire a nation to turn to women and to believe that women can be equally capable resources to help solve society's today's challenges, which requires an alternative approach of wisdom and an abundance of empathy. Because of your distinguished wisdom, humility, and love for service, I know that even I, as Sylvia, as the MTN CEO, looking at you and seeing what you're becoming every day gives me inspiration to have the confidence to know that I also can succeed and make it. I pray that may God grant you a long and healthy life so you continue leading, empowering, and being a shining light on the generations to come. Thank you for taking the time to pen this book and for letting us in on your life story, which I truly know shall inspire and encourage many people as they tap from the fountain of your knowledge and experience. As part of our humble contribution, we will also, in addition, offer a 15% discount for the first 100 people to buy the autography today and pay using our mobile money service, MomoPay. We remain a committed friend of Uganda, and we commit to continue finding opportunities for partnership with the Office of the Nnabagereka, because we strongly believe that when we work together, we are truly unstoppable. Sabasanja Kabaka Awange Nnabagereka Agerekele o Uganda Mwevalenyo.
Can Ms. Sylvia Mulingi have a better round of applause, please? Without further ado, I would like to call upon Her Excellency Natalie Brown, the U.S. Ambassador, to make her speech, please.
Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Good afternoon, everyone. Her Royal Highness, the Nnabagereka, ministers, central government, ministers from the Uganda government, all of the royals, religious and cultural leaders, and colleagues from the diplomatic corps, all of the book lovers here tonight, and it's clear there's a room full of book lovers. I am so deeply honored to join you today for the launch of the Nnabagereka's autobiography. Last week, I had the pleasure of reading to students at St. Magaga and Koze Primary School in Mpigi District because it was Drop Everything and Read Day, or Dear Day. And Dear Day has been one of the highlights of my time here in Uganda. I have always loved to read, and it's been a privilege to share my joy of reading with the students. As a child, reading expanded my horizons, and it was a childhood atlas that led to my diplomatic career. And reading introduced what is possible, which is so very important for girls, for children of color, who, as we've heard from other speakers this evening, are not always surrounded by examples that look like them. And on the subject of books, in recent days, I've returned to some books. One of them is Isabel Wilkerson's The Warmth of Other Suns, which chronicles the story of the migration of Black Americans from southern states to other parts of the U.S. during the 20th century. The stories are very relevant. It's the stories of my grandparents, who went from Louisiana to Nebraska in the center of the country, and it's a way for me to connect to the past. Currently, next to my bed is Howard French's Born in Blackness, which recenters Africa and Africans in the history of the world. And of course, there's the Nnabagereka, which if you follow the U.S. mission on social media, you saw me reading it on Drop Everything and Read Day in the back of my car as I was studying craft. And having an advanced copy of the book made me very popular with a certain contingent of Ugandans, and also attracted some envy and criticism from many others who had not yet had received a copy of the book. But today we gather to celebrate the launch of the Nnabagereka's autobiography, which, like the books I just mentioned, provides readers with an opportunity to hear, feel, and experience a story through the eyes of someone familiar, someone like them. It's a link to the past while looking toward the future. The Nnabagereka story is one that spans decades of experiences across the world, from having been born in England, schooled and raised in Uganda, and educated in universities in the United States. Her story provides insight to her unique perspective, holding on to and cherishing the beautiful history, traditions, and culture of the Uganda people, while working across the country and across kingdoms with her fellow Ugandans and introducing ideas and new beneficial opportunities from her experiences abroad. In 2005, at the U.S. Library of Congress, the Nnabagereka shared with her audience that education has always been part of the Uganda people's traditions, albeit less formal in structure. She noted that traditional education was limited in scope, and since there was no writing, learned by rote was encouraged, and there was little room for criticism, inquiries, innovations, discovery, or documentation. There was no gender equality. And yet African education was still valuable. Today, the Queen has a foundation that honors traditional values and culture in parallel with contemporary efforts to support children, the youth, and women, and to foster an environment of equity and inclusivity. These are efforts that align very closely with those of the United States. Our engagement in Uganda for the past 60 years has been in partnership with Ugandans, working to improve access to health care, strengthen the education system, broaden opportunities for employment, provide technical training, and provide skills for women, especially to pursue economic independence. In fact, just this morning, I was here at the Sheraton with Ugandan women discussing how to support businesses owned and led by women and to encourage the next generation of entrepreneurs. In her book, Nnabagereka addresses head-on the challenges she has personally faced throughout her life and demonstrates, while they may have been difficult, they were not insurmountable. And she's taken that same approach with the challenges faced by the Uganda people today, particularly for women and girls. I've encountered many impressive, successful women during my time in Uganda, and I look across this room and I see so many of them here. Yet I note the tremendous obstacles facing girls and women, whether it's access to education or staying in school, access to appropriate health care, access to knowledge about normal changes in their bodies, access to capital for their businesses, not to mention gender-based violence. Additionally, for many girls and young women, traditional practices impede their opportunities to pursue their own dreams at their own pace. Societal pressure may force women to marry early, leave school before completion, bear and take care of successive children instead of finding meaningful work that sets them and their families up for success. Nnabagereka confronts this in her book, where she discusses both the challenges confronted and her persistence and courage in doing things on her own timeline. For the many women around the world faced with this dilemma of honoring tradition while embracing social and economic progress, Nnabagereka provides a much-needed example. We value, as does the Queen, the beautiful, rich, unique cultures here in Uganda. In fact, we have an Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation whose purpose is to help countries and communities preserve their culture for future generations. And we have funded a number of projects throughout Uganda with this program. The United States, despite our relatively young age as a nation, has a rich history and experience of its own, which has been enhanced by the diversity of its citizenry and their experiences and opinions. And then Nnabagereka, as you know, spent time learning about the United States and the American people while she was living, studying, and working there. And we are proud that through her personal experience, some of which she shares in her book, she acts as a bridge between our two countries. So she, like so many Ugandans who have traveled to the US and possibly participated in our exchange programs, have a unique perspective on our shared values and on areas where we may differ. This, after all, in the spirit of Ubuntu. Oh, I practiced this so much this afternoon. I really said it well earlier today. Ubuntu Bula. Oh. Once again. Ubuntu Bulamu. Okay. Why is that always the case? It was perfect at home. Anyway. But the promotion of well-being, togetherness, and unity, looking for common ground, common values, and seeking a peaceful coexistence. So I am delighted that you chose to share your story. You've inspired so many people within Uganda and outside. I wish you every success as you launch your book today and as you continue the good work you're doing for your community, for your country, and for the world. Thank you.
I've known you as
Ramadan Kareem.
And I have lived in the goodness of God. Hey, 'cause all my life you have been faithful.
Can Her Excellency Natalie Brown have a hearty round of applause, please? At this juncture, before we get into the launch, let us have some entertainment from one of the greatest groups, cultural groups in Buganda. They are called the Umoja Cultural Troupe. They'll be performing for us, and then thereafter we shall officially launch the Nnabagereka's autobiography. Thank you.
twasabye okuyimbira abakulu ababitiwa mutabale mu byuma abakamupa ku ngalo lwiba lunyimire twala ku ngoma Buganda bulate enyimbatawo masa g'abanti abagasizuliha abakyala n'abantu kubamulikira abalonda b'embuga awagenda munene ejankalakasalakusa kuyimbira abaffe
twabalamusa ffenna be twalaba abagenyi
abanga mwatwala obudde bukete
twabalamusa ffenna be twalaba abagenyi twabalamusa
njodde owulira obulere bw'embuga oyolera ddala nabusaana enkoto awobanga oyodde obulere bw'embuga bumekalangene bwekolera obulere bw'embuga bwetwale muli baana babo obulanga obulere bw'embuga era nabalangasa omuzimu gw'emmese abonanga obulere bw'embuga zivuge walungi zivuge obulanga obulere bw'embuga oyolera ddala njodde owulira bwetwale muli baana babo abagamba abatumidde ennyonse obulere bw'embuga abakiba obudde bukede abanyonyi abalungi ab'omutima mugamba mutala katimu babakulu bunanga obulere bw'embuga abanyonyi abagerwa leero asibe kuyimbira abakulu bagwe ende muwogo
obanga oyodde obulere bw'embuga oyolera ddala 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 obanga oyodde obulere bw'embuga oyolera ddala
abo banga ogenze ejabeera omundabiranga Ssaabasajja magulu nnyondo
obanga ogenze ejabeera omundabiranga Ssaabasajja magulu nnyondo Ssaabasajja magulu nnyondo omundabiranga Ssaabasajja magulu nnyondo
yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera kumulondoola embuto zivuge
oyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
abagenda mwoko yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera kumulondoola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
abagenda akula kisajja amanyi ngolira kubanga bekuwa ekisenga mu bitoto abanga muliwa
yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
owabali ungalasala gwamu ekikongo naye muwa musobe mukalu nagwagula enkudde
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
abagenda mwoko yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
wabukala kumaca munango golokusanga ekwala ensajja bwekawa zibuka
omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
abagenda mwoko yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
wamaka bikuwa ebyembye kusakalima haka bikuwa ebyenyotenye nguliggulo
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
abagenda mwoko endamwoko omwoyo mulondo gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera
zibuka
gukulondola
tabula wabale baba
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagalera gukulondola
endamwoko yezaala nabi omwoyo mulondo gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola
era kumaca munango golokusanga ekulira enkwala ensajja bwekawa
yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola
abagenda mwoko yezaala abalungi omwoyo mulondo gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola
amaleza kubenga yagikwalukwakwaya byagenda kulomunu
yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola
alisulumba gwagala kumulondola
endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola mama endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola yezaala abalungi nababi omwoyo mulondo gwoyagala gukulondola
abange enzijja kano ga maama Nnabagereka ngaleeta mumpe ddiro abange tabula
endamwogo yezaala endamwogo yezaala abalungi nababi yezaala
engoma eriwo ngaleeta Nnabagereka asiba omukutalo lw'obunyama Nnabagereka alayira okoleza waffe Nnabagereka tanga asiba omukutalo lw'obunyama Nnabagereka asiba omukutale ayesomereko olw'omunyolo kulaleeta
yezaala
meyanija wona omanya amazima ga Katonda wawa
A very special thank you to Moja. After that workout, for those of you who go to the gym, that is enough gym. That is enough gym just there. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Veg, please, to kindly have one of our final but very special videos from Princess Nnabagereka. Thank you.
When she enters the room, confident, imposing, but graceful nonetheless. Oh, and she can be fun too. A few years ago, I managed to trick her into riding a roller coaster with me in Dubai. I will never forget the look on her face when she got down to the end of the ride. Never again, she vowed. She's determined to make a lady out of me. I can always hear her in my head, sit up straight. Be careful of who you hang out with. Don't say that. Don't do that. I couldn't have become the woman I am destined to be without her firm but gentle hand. Typically, if you're not a doctor, lawyer, accountant, or even architect in Africa, you're pretty much stuck. Thankfully, I have a mother who has been incredibly supportive. As a result, I have found my lane in the creative arts. I'm also a swimmer. Both she and Dad have supported me and in fact pushed me to excel. Consequently, I have risen to win in the nationals to represent Uganda on a global stage. In a way, I still wish this for other families. I would like for us as a nation to begin to value the creative arts and encourage our kids to pursue their passions, even when they're outside of the mainstream. I'm really excited about where we're going as a nation. I always say this to my fellow young people. Go explore, be creative, travel and do your dream, but do not forget your culture. Do not forget your roots. Remember your rich traditional history. My mom has modeled this for me, modern as she is definitely. She is still a cultural icon for her people. She still upholds our ancient guiding traditions which have served as a beacon of light for generations. She will always be remembered as a champion for the less privileged, particularly the children. I can only imagine the future impact on these kids 10, 15 years from now. Mom.
Can Princess Nnabagereka have a hearty round of applause, please? We're now preparing for the launch ceremony. I'm going to ask protocol kindly if we can have the podium on stage.
Ndindiga etayawula muddolo sindyabuli naye kisa kyera ne kinkuma ng'akaweewa kanuusa obugere wakati mu mpologoma naye kisa kyera ne kinkuma waliwo ekisa ekinondoola kyenewunya okuva obuto bwange mukama omukono gw'ongulabye ekisa ekinondoola ekitanganyera kugwa ekisa ekyo kyeneekola kintuseeka waliwo ekisa ekinondoola kyenewunya okuva obuto bwange mukama omukono gw'ongulabye ekisa ekinondoola ekitanganyera kugwa ekisa ekyo kyeneekola kintuseeka nali muzibe ng'ebyensi ey'omwoyo sibimanyi naye ekisa kyera ne kinkuma nali muto nga ndaba omusota n'ensembera naye ekisa kyera ne kinkuma waliwo ekisa ekinondoola kyenewunya okuva obuto bwange mukama omukono gw'ongulabye ekisa ekinondoola ekitanganyera kugwa
At this juncture, I would like to call back Her Excellency Natalie Brown, the U.S. Ambassador to Uganda, to kindly come and call upon the Queen, our Queen, the Nnabagereka, to officially make her speech and to launch her autobiography. Your Excellency, please.
I am doubly honored to return to the stage for this privilege. And I'm glad you said our Queen, because given the amount of time that the Nnabagereka spent in the United States, I think Americans, we certainly feel as if you belong to us as well. So with that, I have the distinct pleasure of inviting Her Highness, the Nnabagereka, Queen Sylvia, for the formal launch of her book. I think everyone, please join me in a round of applause.
Archbishop Dr. Kazimba Mugalu ne bannaddiini abali naffe olunaku lwa leero, Omutaka Namwama n'abataka abakulu ab'obusolya, abalangira n'abambejja, ba ambassadors, ba minister mu government eyawakati, ba ministers abaliko n'abaawummula olubenengedde, ba ministers okuva mu Bwakabaka bwa Buganda, CEO wa MTN ow'erinnya Sylvia, yandiza nnyo mukwano gwange Omumbejja Elizabeth Bagaya, ow'Etooro, ng'era atudde wamu ne mukyala Joyce Mpanga ne mukyala Rhoda Kalema, nakwatibwa omukisa okutuula awamu n'abakyala bano ababadde very instrumental in the development of Uganda, and I think they've all written books, and I know Princess Bagaya, your book is also on the way. We're looking forward to it. Yes, and very instrumental in our development since the 60s and in the women's movement in our country. So I'm privileged to sit right on the same table with them today when I'm launching my book. Thank you very much. Nesimye nnyo okubeera ne family yange, family ya Ssebugwawo, ab'Oluganda mwebali. Mwanike ku mikono tulabe weebuli. Mukyala Joyce Ssebugwawo Wuyaawo n'abalala bangi nnyo, mwenna ababali basenga, senga mwebali, mwebale kujja. Ne baganda bange mwebale nnyo okujja mwenna abali wano. Sanyuse nnyo manyi mulimu mikwano gyange be nasomanga nabo okuviika ntandike from Lake Victoria School, please. Mwebali. Yeah? Anyone out there? I know. Nora, are you there? Yeah, Nora Akembo and Bernard and all. Pleased to see you. And Wanyange, I'm sure you have Wanyange here. Oh yes, in the full house. Gayaza Primary School. Yeah, there. Thank you so much for being here. You know, this story is also about them. I enjoyed that part, writing about school. That was one of the most fun parts to write about, my school days. Nsanyuse nnyo mwenna mikwano gyange abazze wano leero bwe ntandika okumenya amanya sijja kubanga mwenna abooluganda n'ab'emikwano mwebale nnyo 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 okubeera wano ku lunaku lwa leero. I would like to start by giving extraordinary appreciation from the depth of my heart to the Ssaabasajja Kabaka of Buganda. For having allowed me to lend a hand to the progress and development of our region and people. For having allowed me to do both, as the previous speakers have spoken about, and as you read in the book. I don't want to spoil it for you, although it has somehow been spoiled. And for being supportive to me while doing it. I'm grateful to the people of Uganda and all Ugandans who have loved, cared for, and supported our family during my time as Nnabagereka, last 23 years. I want to thank and express my gratitude to every one of you who is here this evening as I launch my autobiography. Now, writing an autobiography or biography can be a daunting process. Re-experiencing steps taken at different points of your life, reflecting on all experiences and events that have shaped you, some exciting and others not so exciting. Now, in this process of telling your story, you may inadvertently affect other people. So it is also a highly sensitive process, and therefore I have endeavored not to be detrimental. However, if I have disappointed or hurt anyone in this process, I ask that you forgive me because it was not the intention. My intention was to share information, sometimes with a bit of humor, to educate, engage, inspire, encourage you. Information that would make a positive difference in your life. And I ask you to look at it that way because I love you all so much. So I have written this book for all of you, the primary school pupils, secondary and university students, the corporates, charities, business people, retired and beyond. It's a book that can be read by everyone. Please get the information through your own eyes. Don't let others read it for you. There are many people whom I would like to thank before I launch. And I have acknowledged many in the book, but I wouldn't like to mention names here because I'm bound to leave some out, as I have already done so in the biography, even though it turns out that I have written one of the longest acknowledgements when you go to that biography. I have still managed to leave out some very important people, and for that I apologize. However, for this occasion, I'll make an exception and mention a few key people that have been in my life, and those are my parents, both departed and those still alive. The departed, my father, John Luswata, my grandparents, Omutaka Nelson and Catherine Sebugwao, my maternal grandparents, George William and Nora Musoke, and Daddy Maxwell Pojo. I give thanks to each one of them. I remember and thank them for all the ways in which their lives touched me, for the difficult as well as the good times, for the ways in which their lives and their love continue to be with me. With thanksgiving, I'll always remember them. I'd like to thank Mama Edith Luswata for her support and care. As a young teenager, I spent more time with my father and Mama Edith, and together with my siblings, Patrick, Nelson, Barbara, Juliet, we experienced their love and protection. Finally, I thank my mother, Rebecca, for loving and guiding me along with my siblings, Ruben and Monique. Your inner strength and resilience has undoubtedly rubbed off on me. Who am I to attract such an interest at such a time as this? To attract you to come and be interested in my book, read my story. It is indeed a blessing from God that I, the Nnabagereka, writes a book, and so many people like you would want to read it. It's a blessing beyond words. One man said, I don't read and I have no interest in reading books, but I'm going to read Nnabagereka's book. I thank God for that. I thank God Almighty himself. He gave me difficult tests, but he also gave me the courage to overcome them. He allowed me to have doubts and showed me red flags, but then he gave me the willpower to emerge from them. I thank God for his guidance and his love. He is my anchor and my seasoned captain, our Lord Jesus Christ. Who helps me navigate life's treacherous waters. He blessed me to be a blessing to others, and I pray that this book will be a blessing to many of you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Can the Nnabagereka please have a round of applause, please? At this juncture, the Nnabagereka is going to unveil her autobiography, The Nnabagereka, Queen Sylvia Najinda Luswata. I'm going to ask, before she does so, for the ladies and gentlemen of the press to kindly take your position. Now, this is how we're going to do it. Once the unveiling is done, the Nnabagereka is going to sign. The Nnabagereka will thereafter stand alongside of the portrait of her book. Protocol will kindly move, will later on shift the placard into the center alongside the Nnabagereka, and we shall have a few pictures of ladies and gentlemen who've appeared on this program. So ladies and gentlemen of the press, if you're ready, we may start. I, at this juncture, call upon the Nnabagereka of Buganda to officially launch her book. Our ushers will now unveil the dummy book, and there it is. Before the Nnabagereka signs, I'm going to take this opportunity to kindly ask the ushers to kindly stand on the other side, and the Nnabagereka will be left in that position. At this juncture, the Nnabagereka will sign on the book. It's the Nnabagereka's book. Will sign. She has a right to sign on any area of her book.
All my days, I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake.
After the signing, the Nnabagereka will officially face the press and stand to position for the official first portrait of the launch of the book. So at this juncture, the Nnabagereka will remain standing there. I'm going to kindly ask protocol to shift the portrait to the center. The Nnabagereka will stand closest to me, and every guest I call upon will stand on the other side. Yes, the Nnabagereka will stand closest to you. Yes. Right, right here. Yes. Can you bring the book?
For your mercy never fails.
A special thank you to the ushers. The Nnabagereka will officially stand here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we respect you in all your capacities, but not all of us can have pictures or official portraits. So you will bear with us as I call upon the following people to kindly take an official portrait. I would like to call upon the Archbishop, Dr. Kazimba Bukalu, please to come up and have a picture. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, there are 3 shots. 1, 2, 3. First photo. Thank you so much. At this juncture, I'd also like to call upon Her Excellency Natalie Brown, the U.S. Ambassador to Uganda, to kindly come and take an official portrait. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you very much. At this juncture, I would also like to call upon the MTN CEO, Ms. Sylvia Mulinge, please, for a photo opportunity. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I'd also like to call upon Bishop Luwarira, Madam Bishop Luwarira, please, who is here to take a photograph, please. Thank you very much. I'd also like to call upon His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ireland, who is here, please.
All my life you have been so, so good.
At this juncture, I'd also like to call upon Madame Amina to also take a photograph, please. I'd also like to take this opportunity to ask Mr. and Mrs. Sam Kutesa, please, to take a big picture, please. I would also like to call upon the country representative of UNDP, please, to take a photograph. At this juncture, I would like to call upon Madame Chitaka of KCCA, and of course, also representing KCCA, the Lord Mayor, Arias Lukwago, please to also come and take your picture to show solidarity. Thank you very much. This book is bringing people together. At this juncture, I would like to call upon General Katumba Wamala, the Minister for Works and Transport. Kindly come and have your photo opportunity, please, sir. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I would also like to call upon Honorable Minister and Mama, Honorable Sebugwawo, please, for a photo opportunity, please. Honorable Sebugwawo. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I'd also like to call upon Honorable Minister Miingo, please, for his photo opportunity. This is a quick reminder that whoever has taken a photo opportunity will buy 20 books. Big is big. At this juncture, I would also like to call upon Dennis and Lisa, who have been behind, of course, the publishing of this book. Please. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Jaja Omtaka Namwamba, please, to also take a photo opportunity. Thank you very much. I would also like to call upon the Sebukwao family, please. Those who are present, please. Side end, please. Yeah. Some will go at the back, please.
Manyi no kusinga bwene manyi obunafu bwange n'obunaku bwange ettaka mwe wanzija omutali kantu omufudde omuntu laba
Thank you very much. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon the Chison Sonkale family, please. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon all religious leaders who are here present, please. I can see Pastor and Mrs. Serata, please. I can see so many other religious leaders. Kindly come up for your group photograph. Thank you so much for coming. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Nnabagereka, please, for the photo opportunity, please. Ministers ba Buganda bonna, please. Abaliwo, please. Are we ready for this picture, please? Okay. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Honorable Miriam Matembe and Honorable Margaret Ziwa, please.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have
Thank you very much. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon the Malumba family, please. The Mary Malumba family.
You have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend.
I'd like to call upon the Kwagalana group, please, for group photograph as well. We're almost concluding.
'Cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh, yes, you have. And all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
At this juncture, I'd like to call upon the Nnabagereka Development Foundation, second last. Photograph, please. The Nnabagereka Development Foundation, please. The current and previous, please. And Board of Trustees.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Hey, 'cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh yes you have. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh I will.
Well, I'd like to call upon Nita Bubabumba, Lydia Chibedi, and Madame Debbie, please, for the photo, please.
Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything, oh Lord. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after, oh yeah, it's running after me. Oh yeah, your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything.
At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Madame Grace, who is a friend to the Nnabagereka, please.
And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
At this juncture, I'd like to call upon the whole team from NNWF, please. Thank you very much. I'd like to call upon the Kanyerezi family, please. The Kanyerezi family, please. Thank you. I'd like to call upon the Mulwana family, please. The Mulwana family, please. I'd like to call upon Mr. and Mrs. Chitaka, please. Mr. and Mrs. Chitaka, thank you. And Rotarian Katongole, please, to also come together. Thank you, with Madame. So that is Rotarian and Mrs. Katongole and Mr. and Mrs. Chitaka, please. I would like to call upon the Kavuma family, please, and Mrs. Katende. I'd like to call upon Mrs. Kotecha, please, and the Lohana family. The Lohana family. The Kotecha family and the Lohana family, please. Thank you very much. And can I also have Honorable Saida Bumba, please? As the Wanyange girls get ready, please. I would also like to take this opportunity to call upon Muchala Mayanja and Kanji also to join this photograph. After Wanyange, can we have Lake Victoria please be ready? Can I have, thank you very much, Wanyange girls. Can I have those from Lake Victoria, please? This was from Lake Victoria Primary School. I think there's some others there. If you're there, please come up. It would have been very nice to see their pictures when they were in primary school. And as Lake Victoria completes, can we have Gayaza Junior, please? The Gayaza Junior, please. Can we have the Galabuzi family and Hamlera, please? The Galabuzi family and Honorable Hamlera, please. After that, we shall have the panelists, Dr. Maria Nasali, Mr. Robert Kabshenga, and Mrs. Jackie Asimwe, please. That's the Galabuzi and Mulira families. Can I also call upon the panelists, please, if you're here? That is Dr. Maria Nasali, Mr. Robert Kamshenga, and Mrs. Jackie Asimwe. They shall be followed by Mrs. Yogi Birigwa, please. Where is Jackie Asimwe, please, and Robert Kapshenga, please? Jackie, but Dr. Maria can go ahead and have the opportunity. Can we have the educationists from the schools that we called? They will come on after Mrs. Yogi Birigwa, please. So the educationists from Wanyange, from Lake Victoria, the head teachers from Victoria. Yeah, so head teachers that we've all invited will also be next. So let's have this first photograph with Madame Yogi Birigwa. Can we have all the head teachers who are invited, please? From Green Hill, I think from Buto, from all the head teachers, please. After the head teachers, we shall have Abakungu wa Buganda, please. Abakungu, please. Thank you very much. Then I would like to call upon Mono and Afro. And Afro Mo. Afros and Mo. And Mono faces. Afro and Mono faces, please. Letitia, please. After the Bakungu, please, Letitia. Next, we're going to have NABO and NDF. NABO and NDF, please. Please hurry, this is the second last photograph, please. Thank you very much. And finally, Vine Entertainment Group, the organizers, please, event organizers. Veg. Please, Veg, can you hurry up, please? And finally, Salongo, Mama's photographer, please. Finally. Salongo has been Mama's photographer for many years. Two more pictures. Betty Mugoya and the Sentenza family, please. Thank you very much. And finally, I would like to call upon the MTN team, please, to have a group photograph. Thank you very much. Can we have Council Twaha, please? And also Madam Fiona Wall. And can we have Max Advocates, those who are here as well? Max, please. So this is the second last photograph. I'm going to ask for ladies and gentlemen of the press to kindly come and have, I mean, that means you have to, one of you has to remain behind. So ladies and gentlemen of the press, please, I hope someone is taking and capturing this opportunity. Slowly, please. That's enough, please. The ladies and gentlemen of the press are very important in making sure that all these pictures are captured, both on print, video, social media, television, radio. I think, ladies and gentlemen of the press, I think Salongo is taking this picture. Please, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you very much. And our second last photo, please. The CEO of Sheraton, Kampala Sheraton, and his team, please.
Ab'emikwano agitatagiwoomya MC Jane Kasu.
The Nnabagereka shall now move to the table. I'm going to kindly ask the protocol to move the final book to be behind the high table, where Mrs. Kalema, Mrs. Princess Bagaya, are all seated, and Mrs. Mpanga. That will be the final photograph, please. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you shall remain seated. Shall remain seated, please. It's time for dinner. I'm going to kindly ask you to remain seated. please remain seated. An usher will come and usher you in for dinner. Nnabagereka Gabude, a dinner hosted in remembrance of this function. Thank you all for coming. An usher will come and take you for dinner. We're still with you. Also at this juncture, the Nnabagereka will be signing her autobiography, and they will be handed out. So kindly remain seated where you are. Dinner shall be served. Nnabagereka Gabude. Please also remember the Nnabagereka at this launch will be autographing her book. She'll be autographing her book so that when you go away with the book, it's an autographed copy. Can we have a slight musical interlude? I'm also requesting Reverend to pray for our food, please. Reverend Serenjoji, please.
Okay. May we pray for our dinner. Let's pray. Father, we bless you. As we celebrate a life of Mama, we want to give you thanks for all that has been said before us. Cleanse it, purify it, and bless it with your precious blood. That as we partake of it, we'll partake of it reflecting on the goodness that you've done in the life of Mama, that is an example to all of us and an inspiration to all of us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Can we have a music interlude, please?
Kugwe na yete wanvamu katika nkusinze kuba asinge mikwano kankutende kuba ebisiwe byange byonna biyinza Dolabe Tinzika kanyedelo Wotali mukama Mbasiri na manye Nabino bienina Manyi dalabibyo Kagube guno kango sazewo butwala katika nkusinze